Good morning, everyone. We have Coach Payton for the conference call. Megan, I'll turn it over to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Patrick, and good morning, Coach. We'll start with Arnie Stapleton of the Associated Press.
Hey, Sean, good morning. Um,
Good morning.
last year, last year when you guys had that heartbreaking loss, last second loss at Kansas City, you made sure that Alex didn't take all the flack and sort of had a collective responsibility approach. I'm wondering if you take that same approach with Tillman after what transpired in Indy.
Yeah, I think there's some similarities, and I spoke about it actually in the locker room yesterday, and then there's some differences. And I would say this, number one, we had a certain field goal block in the event of a game-ending field goal, much like the PAT where Justin Simmons jumps cleanly and blocks the PAT in New Orleans. But that's on me in that situation. And look, it's not on Darren. It's not on Tillman. With a 60-yard field goal attempt, it's different. The alignment got wrong, and the call was correct. You can, as a defensive line, you can push down on the back of the center and offensive lineman. You can push down on the back, specifically if you're going to go internally on the guards. You can push down. You can't push the jump. So a common block would be to push down with one player and then to clear jump with another. The alignment got mixed up between Tillman and one of the other tackles. The call was correct. That was leveraging. You can't put your hands and to elevate yourself off one of your own guys or off one of the opponent players. But my big regret flying home was, that's more for a closer field goal. That's more for a gimme than a 60-yard attempt, and that's on me.
Andrew Mason, the Fan.
Hey, Sean, you mentioned some of the Emmys on defense yesterday. I was wondering what you saw from the film that led to some of those.
Well, look, they averaged 9.8 yards on first down. They obviously came out throwing to run. We busted some fire zone coverages. Late in the game, we did a better job of peeling on the running back in certain looks. But early in the game, we've got the runner coming out of the backfield uncovered. It's the second week in a row that we've allowed points on the first drive of a game. That's concerning. And I kind of went through this with the team. I said, look, when we talk about these first 4 weeks in this race that we're in with everyone else in the league to clean up and improve. And I said, we collectively as coaches have to look at that ourselves. And so offensively, or as a team currently with 5 turnovers, 4 on offense, 1 in the kicking game, that's at the bottom of the league. As far as giveaways. Now it's early in the season. In other words, when you look at rankings, week 2, they can be a little misleading. But nonetheless, that is what it is. Red zone offense, we preach all the time. No minus plays, no exotic snap counts, no turnovers, no sacks. And we had 3 of those yesterday. We had a sack, we had a turnover, we had penalties, that are points taken away or certainly points made harder. And so despite that, in the fourth quarter on the road, we control a lot of where we want to be relative to that football game. And we didn't capitalize on it. And so we've got to start with ourselves as teachers, as coaches, and look very closely at, hey, how can we improve in these areas? And then B, how can we apply it and make sure there's that urgency, here in week 3, week 4, to clean things up. You can't. It's hard to sustain the success in our league as a yo-yo team, up and down. So that's the race we're in right now.
Eric Dalala, DenverBroncos.com.
Hey, Coach, you alluded to it there, but Bo said yesterday you can't let one loss become two. Curious over the course of your career if there's things you've learned about the keys to help a team reset when it's been a loss like that, a kind of an end of game tough situation.
Yeah. And here's the thing. So many of them happen in our league because the games are so close. You know, they're often won in 2-minute drills. And so I think of that coming in the morning. I'll think of that Tuesday before Wednesday's team meeting. You know, how to shed one that doesn't affect another. But I think Bo's correct. I mean, it's a long season. And today's the day though that, man, we really got to not miss out on the opportunity to correct and not miss out on the opportunity to recognize maybe why. And then later in the week, the refocus on an important division game.
Parker Gabriel, The Denver Post.
Hey, Sean, just to go back to the field goal for a moment. I know you said the alignment got mixed up. Is the idea with DeAndre more inside just to have more pressure up the middle, or a bigger player up the middle than Benito when you need to block one?
No, we felt Tillman had jumped pretty well. The idea was to work 90 of their field goal protection unit who lined up at left guard, where DJ is going to be able to push down. That's legal. And then right at the last minute, they flip sides inside. And so now we're on a different defender or different offensive blocker. And so, but I think, no, to your question, I think Tillman has some pretty good leaps, and just ended up, we ended up on the wrong side and we didn't execute it. And before any and all of that though, we should be working a normal rush, a normal interior rush with a 60-yard attempt.
Zach Stevens, DNVR.
Coach, the offense had 4 touchdowns in the first 6 drives and then didn't score the final 3. What kind of changed there and made it more difficult for the offense?
Well, I mean, let's just go to the obvious. We're not unable to hit the field goal. It comes down to the red zone drive where we shot ourselves in the foot. We had a delay game penalty, a 15-yard face mask penalty. And then we also have an interception. So that's easy to look at and say, all right, here's what happened relative to the drives that we didn't score on.
Chris Thomas in the Gazette.
Yeah, hey, Sean, how did you feel about the running game yesterday, how you might have sustained it through the game? And Dobbins got a good bit more carries than Harvey. Was he just deemed the more effective back yesterday?
Yeah, fair question. I think sometimes there's certain tags. Harvey got some tougher run looks in the 11 or sub-personnel groupings. Dobbins had some real good runs for us, though. And quite naturally, as one's going, you feed them more. But I was pleased overall with how we played as an offensive line. I thought we did a good job of creating space, creating movement. Like the opening series was going to be 3 runs in a row to get our first down, and it happens on the first run. And so certainly that can, at that moment when you're able to do that, you have more control of the game, and so that part of it was important.
Darren McKee, Altitude.
Coach, were you surprised how much Patrick Surtain was targeted? I know he led the team in tackles, and do you think he was impacted at all with the issue with his ankle?
Yeah, I think I said this yesterday. I think at times when you play outside left, outside right, and Pat's shown the ability to come inside. I think there's a progression in a passing offense, and so I think target is the word you have to use because that's where the ball went. Do I think, on those Wednesday nights and Thursday nights in game plan meetings, they were out to target Patrick? I don't think that was the case. I think a lot of it is the progression of a route. Sometimes that'll happen a lot with us. I mean, there's certain times where if I'm going to run 2 go routes, we're going to work on one corner or the other. When you get into some interior routes on 3rd down, 2nd down, where you're working maybe a progression read, I think a lot of it ends up being that's where the ball ended up going. Now, I think he was able to come back and he felt comfortable enough to come back. But I'm sure the technique he'll look at today, he'll want to clean up on a handful of those plays.
Coach, that appears to be all the questions we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.